Alright. It's Levi here. It's going to be part 9. It's a continuation from part 8. It's up late last night, navigating all of this. I'm being hunted. Facing Lucifer himself and the demons of the highest order. I mean, it's not a surprise to me, because I've been fighting demons all my life. I was thinking after I ended the session the part 8 last night, you know, I've been fighting demons all my life. I've never seen one or identified one, but I knew they were there, like the energy and the characteristics, and I knew I was being haunted by them. I was going through my notebook of drawings, because I've been an artist my whole life. And I went to art school, and I have my sketchbooks, and I was going through my sketchbooks a couple months ago, and I was looking at some of the first drawings that I had. Drew. And it tells the story in the pictures. Now I'm talking 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I think I stopped doing a lot of art around 23, because I was just so fucking I was addicted to heroin. I was addicted to heroin, living on the street. Just being a fucking total fucking wild animal. Possessed by demons. It's funny too, because I don't think I was ever possessed by demons. I was in a prison. And I think there's a difference between, a demonic stronghold and which is a prison, and then actually being possessed, right? Because you sold your soul. There's a difference. There's a distinct difference between people who have sold their souls and then people who've been sold. People will trade their fucking souls for anything. and they don't even understand like the energies too, because it's like it's like the paradox. It's a curse. It's magic. You don't understand the deception until you realize, oh hey, this is a deception, because look at where it's leading me. And so even though it looks good, it feels good, it's, you know, you're fulfilling like all these pleasures and comforts and material things. You're feeding all those demons, the lust, the greed, the power. You know, you're not thinking, you're lazy, you have like this, you're under this illusion, you're in denial. So like I was like all through my childhood, like living in this deception. And I remember I was like 12. And I'm like, I can't trust this fucking bitch. I just felt it in my heart. Like I couldn't trust her. My mother. And I never did. Never trusted her. Never. Never did. And she never proved that she could be trusted either. But it was like this charade, you know, that she played. She sold her soul. And she sold mine. So yeah, I'm being hunted every fucking day. Well, I'm fighting these demons every fucking day. So, and the reason why, and you know, I had broken that curse 2 years ago. 2 years ago, broke a lifetime of curses. Every single fucking one of them. Every single one of them. But then, because I understood the behavior. I decoded the deception, all of the lies and everything. You know, because where I was at 31. Oh, you know, where I was at 25. At 25, I was like, this ain't me. You know, like this is not who I am. This is not my life. This is not who, like in the beginning of my recovery, and I'll when I start putting together this program, I've already started putting together the program, the course. I'm going to put together a couple courses, and I'll offer them to anybody that is interested in recovery from addiction, recovery from self-destructive behaviors, and in recovery from trauma and the human condition. Those are the 4 things. I'm going to put together a course for people. Well, I mean, it's already done. It's already done. The courses are already together. I just have to put them on video. I'm writing a book, and I have a bunch of. I have a whole course that I'm create like a recovery life coaching course that I've constructed, and I constructed it all 2 years ago too. It's been 2 years, but I've been like in the midst of this like chaos, because the last 2 years it's just been every day, curse after curse after curse after curse after curse after curse after curse, every fucking day, every day, and it's right now still, it's every day, fucking relentless fucking pursuit of my soul, because I'm free. I'm free. And there's more to this. Maybe I want to share a little bit more about, I don't know how much I want to share about, you know, like what God has showed me, you know, my, those experiences. But yeah, I mean, you know, and how do you deliver that information either, you know, too, you know, because, you know, everyone's like, oh, I met God, and they're like, don't go into the light and all this fucking dumbass shit, you know, just total fucking lie to your face, deception bullshit. So it's almost, and I'm like commenting in some of the comments sections too. I'm like, oh yeah, because they're listening to these card readers, and which I never, really had an interest in reading the cards. I am the cards. I am the card, and I knew that when I was like 14, 15, because I started doing like yoga, tai chi, martial arts, reading, writing, drawing, and like into the arts, into like the spiritual arts, the martial arts, and like art, like I had already in the medicinal healing. Like I've been a medicinal healer for a long fucking time, long time. But now, like over the years, it's just like I figured out the whole psychic, psychological, spiritual matrix. Like I broke down the fucking matrix. Yeah, I just broke down the matrix. And then God came. And the Holy Mother came. And she's been following me my whole life. I never met God. But she's been following me my whole life. She's been following me my whole life. And there's so much that I don't understand yet about it, but but yeah, it's satanic ritual abuse. This the Holy Mother, she came and she showed me what my mother was doing. Calling demons, casting curses upon me, upon my name, upon my life, upon my health, upon my finances, upon my everything, casting curses on every fucking thing, and continuously sacrificing me too. Like the relationship isn't like a mother-son relationship. It never has been. It's always been like financial, contractual, because she's like unavailable. Never emotionally available, never mentally available, never like physically available. Like she's there, but she's, never had the conversation. When I started doing my recovery, like in the depths of like my trauma and shit, and I'm talking like 33, 32, I realized like this bitch destroyed my fucking life. But even at the time, like you hear like this bullshit, like, oh, don't blame your parents, and even when all the places I was going, they were like, don't blame your parents. Blaming your parents is all this and that and the other fucking thing. Like you're weak and this and that, like demons going to recovery meetings that that are full of fucking people that are demons. Yeah, just totally fucking mind controlled. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, what the fuck they're saying, what the fuck they're talking about. They just regurgitate bullshit they heard, and they dance around their shadow, decade after decade. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I fucking peeped game right from the fucking beginning. Like this is bullshit. And I was like raging too, because I'm like, I got all this like, you've been lied to your whole fucking life, and then you find out that you start realizing the truth, like in your soul and the depths of like your being. Dude, you're fucking pissed. I was fucking pissed. I was like in a rage, and I'm like, why the fuck am I so fucking angry? And I'm like, that was the right question to ask. It's like, what? And then I found the answer. I'm like, this bitch lied to you. You're being lied to your whole fucking life. No, and this, I realized that when I was 32, 31, 32, 33. and it's really just set in, you know, like those were like the first 3 years, because I was in recovery 25, 26, 26, 27, 28. I didn't get clean until I was 28. It took 3 years for me to get clean. But yeah, you're lied to your whole fucking life. Oh yeah, you're grieving. So it's grief. Right? It's because you've lost so much. Right? And at the time, I just considered it a loss. You know, like I've lost all of these things, right? But the reality is I was fucking robbed of all these things. I was robbed of my manhood, robbed of my adulthood, robbed of my identity, robbed of my value, robbed of my self-worth. You know, and I finally figured that out. This was like it's like 2020 basically, when I started putting all this work together. Like I had started my recovery over in 2020, and I started putting all this work together, and it might have took me like a year, and then in 2021 it was like, a shame. I mean, you know, shame and insecurity. Right? When I talk about sovereignty, and the work that I've done, the program that I've created, authenticating sovereignty. When I talk about that, you'll hear me tell you exactly what it is, because you have four primary missions, like, as the sovereign individual. That's your health, that's your safety, that's your wealth, and that's your security. And it splits into two ways. One is internal, right? Because the work is all internal. You have to like go inward, navigate yourself, do all this recovery, this healing and this recovery work, and this transformation takes place. It starts in the mind. It starts in the heart, and with your being, you start to embody these things. You know, you're removing all of these things, and you embody all these things. And then you realize it's this insecurity, right? It's shame and insecurity, you know, and all your fears and all your resentments, right? So when I was, you know, when I started off experiencing the trauma from a lifetime of satanic ritual abuse, psychological abuse, narcissistic abuse, codependency, and destruction, right? There's destruction, and then there's self-destruction. So I'll get into all this detail later, but just to trying to make my point about sovereignty, right? Because it's and, you know, and then it's the security of your home, right? Your things, right? Your car, your house, your job. You know, job security we talk about, you know, it becomes external. So it's internal and it's external. The problem with so many people is they're chasing, you know, at all these external things to validate who they are, right? They don't know this, they don't know themselves, you know. So they've been handed all these things, and there's plenty of people that have just been handed all these things in their life too. They have no idea how to get those things, or how to like resolve those things within themselves. No clue. Most people. And I learned that in recovery. When I first started going to school, was when I first started going to college. I went back to school, and you know, when I was 28, when I got clean, and almost immediately I realized, like, these people are drug addicts without the drugs. I'm like, they have no fucking clue what the fuck's going on. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55-year-old men, just complete fucking, like, their brains are all fucking scrambled and shit. I'm like, I know fucking, like, gang members that have a greater sense of identity and morality than you. There's one guy in particular. He was super cool dude, and we got along too. He was super cool. He was one of my heroin dealers. He was a good dude. He wasn't like a piece of shit nigger. He's a black guy. He was super cool dude. We got along, and I'd come every day. He loved me, But yeah, he was a good source, and he was a good dude, And I even seen him, like, when I got into recovery. I was in 2010. I hadn't seen him in like a year or something like that, because he got locked up, and then I was like going through my recovery stuff, and then I met him at he was in a rehab, or he was in a rehab, because he was addicted to heroin too. He's addicted to he was getting high on his own supply. Most heroin addicts and drug dealers do too, and that's what I was doing, when I was dealing drugs. It's like I'd buy the drugs, and then I'd probably make $20 when I should have, made much more, but I just got high, So anyway, I learned that in school. So back to the whole point about sovereignty, going back to that, because the drug addiction itself, the root of it is just a lack of self-esteem and lack of self-worth. You're fucking empty of, like, your soul's power, that love that you have for yourself, the self-esteem, a genuine sense of self-worth, and like a genuine sense of identity. You know what I mean? It's like you can't communicate like who you are, because your psyche is underdeveloped. Like, you have you're unconscious, and everything you do is like on a subconscious level, right? And you think you have control of that conscious brain, because you can say words and you can do things and things, but really the true expression of who you are, you have to, like, know that, like, deep within your psyche, and understand your subconscious behaviors. What do you embody, right? What is the energetic embodiment of who you are really speak, and that's really when it comes down to, like, psychic, or that's when we really tap into, like, psychic ability and psychic power, when you've tapped into the deepest recesses of your mind, and you have uncovered all of these shadow aspects of yourself, and you understand these energies, right? They say your energy speaks before you do, and it's true. It's true. Your energy speaks before you do. So when you're, like, insecure, and you show up, like, with all these, like, ornaments, someone who's honest with themselves, like truly honest with themselves, and they've done that work, they just go, oh, this guy's, doing this and that and the other thing, and and I had to see that in myself. I'm like, this is not who I am. And I started realizing that at 25, and then even more so at 28, and then even more so at 31, because all that pain had, risen to the surface. All that trauma from all my life had risen to the surface. But even then, I didn't understand it as, like, satanic ritual abuse. Only recently have I really uncovered recently within the last like 4 years, like 6 years, I started really seeing this. I'm like, this is all like fucking like demons and shit. This is all like evil energy, it's like the spirit of evil. And I understood that like prior, right? Because I've been doing all this work, but then I'm like, those are demons. These are people that are like possessed by demons. And as soon as I like really uncovered that, I'm like, okay, these are these demons, these are that demons, and these are these types of demons, and this is the energetic embodiment and expression of this demonic attachment or this demonic possession. Right? So either you have like, and that's what I was saying about this, the difference between like being in a demonic stronghold, having your soul been stolen and sold and sacrificed, and not knowing it, versus people who are willingly doing that, willingly selling themselves, willingly selling their souls. Like they know what they're doing. They're like, I'm willing to exchange, in order to get what I want, like right now, And to some extent, we do that when we're unconscious, but then we, if you get in recovery and you go, man, this is not the correct behavior, So when you get in, when I first got into recovery, they said, you want to change your thinking, change your attitude, and change your behaviors. Those are like the 3 like foundational things to like really beginning a recovery process and like a transformational process, and correcting all of your destructive behaviors, self-destructive behaviors. And there's more to it than that. I got a whole fucking, the program goes into like, it goes into depth. My program that I've created, it goes into a significant amount of depth. I'm trying to keep it simple too, but the reality is it's very comprehensive. You're like, you have to get educated and understand all of these things about this, about the nature and the character of like who you are and what that energetic embodiment represents and what demon is associated to it. So yeah, this is the spiritual awakening. This is the spiritual ascension, right? So when God came, into my life, He showed up. He had just trying to put this into words here. Raised me from the dead. He pulled me out. I was like I was like in this maybe I can talk more about this later. I was considering doing a series like this series, doing a series of like some of my dreams and travels. And there's a difference between a dream and a travel too, because one is unconscious and then one is a conscious. But in this case, I was kind of like in this place, this demonic stronghold. I was in this prison, dark fucking dungeon. I was in the pits of hell, basically. My soul was trapped in hell. He come pull me out. Saved my soul. Saved my soul. And that marked like the beginning. And this was like 2 years ago. That marked the beginning of like this process. Not the spiritual awakening, because the awakening, I've been awakening for a long time. I've always been awake. I've always been awake. always been awake. That's funny. But just unaware, right? So like the awakening happens in like cycles, and it's a process that you have to like get on this path, right? You have to get on the spiritual path. But what I'm talking about is now ascension. Right? That was the beginning of my ascension. What am I at, 31? And they've been fucking itching to get me back. They'll do anything. They will do motherfucking anything. The demons, the devil, Lucifer, the fallen one, Azazel, the fallen angel. No, he'll do anything. Bezobael and Jezebel, the Jezebel spirit. Bezobael is just a different name. Just it's the same fallen angel, just different name, different time. Bezos, Azov, the Azov battalion in Ukraine. It's all demons. It's fallen angels and the demons of this in the world of darkness, Prince of Darkness. So yeah, I mean, that's no surprise. They'll do anything. They'll do anything to steal your soul, imprison your fucking soul, imprison your mind, steal your gifts, take your blessings, defiling all that is holy and sacred, perverting the truth. With lies. The father of lies. So yeah, I'm literally facing off with this fucking demon, this fallen angel. Every day. Every day. Every day. But yeah, God's like right here. Yeah, like fucking, God's been with me. God's with me every day. It's very, very, very strange. But now I'm understanding it, like on a level where I can easily identify it. Exactly what it is, like very fucking precisely. The law is very precise. You have to understand something about the law and God's law. It's very, very specific. It's very precise. And there's 100 ways to describe it and explain it. But when it comes down to it, because people say, here's an example. People will say, you know, conquer your fears, face your fears. And, you know, it takes courage and all this stuff, which they're right. But the general consensus is that it's fear. Right? But fear is only one layer of the work that needs to be done. Like, fear is still surface level. It is. It's all it's nothing. It's nothing. Resentment, fear. Okay, first you got to get through your resentments, then you have to realize the reason to why all this fear is being triggered, and then you have to realize deeper, like, oh, because I'm insecure in some way. You know, I haven't been secure, like, in this part of me, that part of me, this part of me, in these areas of self and life. You know, I'm insecure in my relationships. I'm insecure in my finances. I'm insecure in my career. I'm insecure in my emotional well-being. Because I haven't clearly identified myself. You have to be very, just like you have to be clear with your goals, like specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. You have to be specific with, like, who you are, right? Because you don't have a clear sense of, like, who you are, and it's not, like, measurable to some extent. Becoming who you are is attainable, right? It's not even like a thing, right? It's attainable. You can attain who you are. It just takes time to become, you know, to, like, raise yourself, heal yourself, and grow, right? The transformation takes time. Right, so in some sense, you don't know when, but you can get someone who's experienced in doing this, like me. I give you, like, a timeline of like events, right? Because there is a scale, you know, where certain events happen on this path of recovery, and along the spiritual path, and then it starts to, like, web out too, like, because now you're going, oh, now I'm operating in, like, a couple different dimensions. You know, I have all this stuff to organize and arrange and identify and be clear about. Developing your psyche, you know, developing, like, all of like who you are and all the roles you play, you know, in society. I'm this type of person at my job. It requires this type of character. I'm this type of person at home in my life. I'm a father. It requires this type of example. Right, and this type of character, and this is the role I play as a father. This is the role I play as a husband, wife, whatever. Right. So it becomes, these are things that are, like, clearly identifiable about your identity, right? And whether or not you're secure in that role or not. You know, over the years, it's like I see men and women, they don't even know their fucking role, you know, as a woman. They don't even know their role as a man. Four years of men's work, and these dudes don't even know the first fucking thing about being a man. I was like, thank God I walked away from that shit. Thank God I walked away from that shit. Just surrounded by just a bunch of fucking, like, absolute fucking morons. Liberal cucks, you know, And, you know, and I didn't give a fuck about liberalism at first too. I mean, I considered myself kind of liberal, you know, because I'm like very open, you know, very giving, you know, and although I can be both, you know, you have to be both. You have to be like liberal and conservative, you know, you have to have a balance of like what you're going to reserve and conserve for yourself, and understand your duty and role as a man about the preservation of life. And then, you know, you have to like be willing to like, you know, be open about how you're going to like evolve as a person and what you're going to take in, right? What you're going to receive. You know, and that means you have to eliminate all your prejudices and things of this nature. So, you know, and that's another one. Monitoring spirits. I'm being honed in on. They don't like that I'm talking about this shit. Not one fucking bit. They don't like that I'm talking about this shit. They were blocking my signal for fucking months. I couldn't upload a video. I was being cursed. That was one of the curses. Couldn't get out a fucking message. Couldn't get out a signal. Couldn't get a signal. I would upload my videos and it'd be like 16-hour load time. I'm like, okay, let me try it. Try it overnight. Still, wake up in the morning after trying to load a video, and this just happened over and over and over, day after day after day. Trying to share this, kind of trying to share what I was going through this past winter. Videos just wouldn't upload. So now, you know, working through and breaking that curse, I could upload videos now. So anyway, so yeah, shame. It comes down to shame. You live in like this, what I call it, the shadow of shame. And that's where all the fucking like demons are, in the shadow, all in the shadow. So if you're unaware of your shame, right, society's like, it's your fears and all this shit. People become millionaires, multi-millionaires, hundreds of millions of dollars in a bank account, that blow their fucking brains out because they're still consumed with all this shame. They never did any of that inner work. They did all this stuff outside of them, all this material, pleasure, comforts, got fucking multi-million-dollar homes. They got a whole family that they fucking, you know, they just, you know, they're all trust fund babies and shit. They're all like spoiled, rich, rotten brats, you know, because they didn't have a father, you know. He spent his whole life working, right, for telling himself some bullshit, right, but then, you know, end up fucking, or, you know, whatever the scenario, you know what I mean? The scenario is going to be plenty of scenarios about how fucking millionaires blow their fucking brains out, you know. Their money is their identity. Their business is their identity. Their, you know, material, right? They're attached to this lowest level of consciousness, all the shame. They're not even aware of themselves. No clue. No clue. No clue about it, self-awareness, nothing. So you go a lifetime of being, selling your soul, right? You're gonna fucking blow your fucking brains out eventually. In exchange for, you know, material pleasures, you know. The fuck good is your fucking Bentley if you're just a miserable fuck? So people today are catching on now too. You know, you got to do that internal work, right? But even some dudes, you know, they're still like, you know, they're like, yeah, I was molested as a kid. Let's move on from that, you know. And then he'll say, oh, I did my work, right? But you can't sit with it and talk about it and be with it. If you can't sit with it, talk about it, and be with it, you ain't doing shit. You ain't doing no work. If you're insecure about it, yeah, nobody wants to hear it. People are like, he's afraid of being judged. And I get it. I should have went to the park. I don't really want to talk about this stuff in front of my neighbors. I'm just sitting in the back of my house right now. Some, you know, I get it. Some stuff you want to keep secret. You want to keep private. It's funny how like the internet is kind of different too, you know, because like the only people that are gonna listen to what you're saying are people that are like interested, which is very few people. But if you're listening, you're one of the lucky ones. So yeah, so yeah, I've broken every fucking curse. And broken from the Satanic Ritual Abuse survivor. I was thinking about that this morning. What do you call it? Yeah, survivor of Satanic Ritual Abuse. It's very difficult to be in this position. But yeah, that's what it is. Eventually you learn exactly what the Satanism is, and you know how so many people are full-fledged fucking Satanists, and they don't even know it. You know, and so, I mean, some of them are they actively engage in that behavior, but they don't understand it. They're like fully engaged in fucking selling their souls, and you know, they got all these fucking under demonic possession, operating in the spirit of evil, like through and through. And they have these attachments. Demonic attachments. So yeah, these motherfuckers are fucking relentlessly fucking on me, trying to attach themselves to me with curses and all sorts of shit. Because my mother's still fucking actively practicing Satanism. Still. She's possessed by demons. She's possessed by fucking demons. Full-fledged fucking demonic possession. Like, she's gone. She's never been here. She's never in my life. Never been, Never in her life. Yeah, fuck my life. Never in her life. Because I think about like her story and like, you know, the things that she said and done, like when she was before a mother and then after a mother. You know, I just looked at it, like in the beginning, I just looked at it like this bitch never grew up. She never matured, she never grew up, she never became an adult. And that's exactly what it is, too, because she's a grown fucking child. Boomer, baby boomer. Just fucking, you know, just full-fledged fucking, like, entitled to everything. The boomers, Gen Z isn't the most entitled generation. Fucking baby boomers are the most entitled, narcissist. I call it the displaced sense of self-entitlement. That's what I call it. Displaced sense of self-entitlement. Right? Because we're entitled to things, but these are people with their egos. You know, they're like, my ego says that I'm, you know, material pleasure and comfort. You know, I deserve it. You know, so now you got this whole fucking like generation of women going, I deserve it, not because I earned it. But I'm told that I'm shit all my life. Like I had to earn it. Oh, everything's on my shoulders. You know, you're the cause of your shit and all this shit. You know, I'm just the blame for everything. So I'm the scapegoat. I'm the blame. I'm the black sheep. I'm the punching bag. The punching bag. You know, and it's. Ugh. I can get into like I'll get into more of that later, but you know, it's part of the narcissistic abuse. It's part of the codependent abuse. It's part of the psychological abuse. It's part of the satanic ritual abuse. It's part of the generational curse. And you know, these are demons. You know, raised by demons. You know, fucking born into hell, raised by demons. Right. So now I'm fucking like ascended and shit. You know. You fucks, man. All this lifetime's worth of work, lifetime's worth of psychic, spiritual work, recovery work, trauma work, soul work. So yeah, I got maybe I'll do one more, but I think it might be just about it. But just wanted to talk and give some more detail about, you know, satanic ritual abuse and ascension. Right? Because it's not easy. It takes, you know, you have to have like real leadership, real guidance, and real support in this process. And you don't want to be learning fucking jack shit from no motherfucker. Nobody who hasn't done it. Right? You ain't gonna learn nothing from nobody that hasn't fucking done it. Now, I've been surrounded by fucking people that have been, you know, I thought were, you know, people that are like good guys, good women, good people, supportive, and all this stuff, you know, but they haven't done the work. They have no fucking clue, don't even know the first fucking thing. Not even the first fucking thing. You know, I'm talking like people in the spiritual community. I'm talking about people in the recovery community. I'm talking about people that are like doing transformational healing and growth. I'm talking about people that are doing like personal growth stuff. You know, because they just focus on all the external shit. You know, get your money up, you know. Go travel. And, you know, all this other stuff, you know. Everything focused on, like, external material things. Right? And there's, you know, there's nothing wrong with getting your money up and getting traveling. I want to get my money up and get traveling, too. You know. But, you know, I have to break this fucking generational curse, you know, on my this demonic stronghold. All right, so I got a pee, so I'm gonna be. Maybe I'll do one more. Maybe the next one will be shorter.